Welcome Primary 4 with you, Miss Umayma Hani, and today we are going to talk about lesson number 1 with 2 and concept number 3 in unit number 3, which is talking about renewable resource of energy. Renewable resource of energy. And who can give me example of renewable resource of energy? Renewable resource of energy like what? Like water, like wind, like solar energy from the sun. Again, water, wind, solar energy from the sun are considered as renewable resource of energy. And today we will know how can we generate electricity from renewable resource of energy. How can we generate or produce electricity from renewable source of energy like water, like wind, like solar energy. Okay, let's start with the solar energy from the sun. How can we generate electricity from the solar energy from the sun? By using solar panels. Do you know the solar panels? Yes, the solar panels which we put it on the roof to take the solar energy from the sun. The solar energy means the energy that come from the sun, which is the light energy and heat energy. So the solar panels, we put the solar panels on the sun, on the roof of any building to take the solar energy from the sun and change it into electrical energy. So to generate electricity from the solar energy from the sun, we need solar panels. The solar panels take the solar energy from the sun and change it into electrical energy. Number 2, as we can see in this picture, the solar panels take what? Take the solar energy. The solar energy means the energy that coming from the sun, which is the light and the thermal energy. The solar panels take the solar energy from the sun and change it into electrical energy. Number 2, how can we generate electricity from the wind? By using this device, as we can see in this picture. This device is called wind turbine. Wind turbine. So again, this is called wind turbine. How can we generate electricity from the wind? By using wind turbine. The wind turbine it changes the kinetic energy from the wind. When the wind starts to move, it will produce which type of energy? It produces kinetic energy. When the wind moves, so it will produce kinetic energy. When the wind starts to move, it will produce kinetic energy. The kinetic energy after that it changes into electrical energy by the wind turbine, as we can see in this picture. So this is called wind turbine. This is called wind turbine. And the wind turbine, it changes the kinetic energy of the wind. When the wind starts to move, it will make the blades of the wind turbine start to move and produce kinetic energy. After that, the kinetic energy of the wind changes into electrical energy. Okay, so to generate electricity from the wind, we use wind turbine. Number 3, and finally, how can we generate electricity from the water? We can generate electricity from the water by using water turbine. By using what? Water turbine. This is called water turbine. And the water turbine also, it changes the kinetic energy of the water. When the water starts to move, it will produce kinetic energy. The kinetic energy of the water will make the blades of the water turbine start to move, as we can see here. When the water turbine starts to move, it will produce kinetic energy. The kinetic energy after that will change into electrical energy. So we can generate electrical energy from the water by using water turbine. And we can generate electricity from the wind by using wind turbine. And we can generate electricity from the solar energy by using solar panels. Okay, so how can we generate electricity from the renewable resource of energy? We can generate electricity from renewable resource of energy like water, wind, and solar energy by using water turbine, wind turbine, and the solar panels. Okay. After that, let's start to talk about the windmills and the watermills. The windmills and the watermills. And like now, like us, now we need some machines to make our life more easy. Like when we use the washing machine, when we use the mixer, the blender, when we use the fan, these machines make our life more easy. And also the old people from hundreds of years ago, the old people needed some machines to make their life more easy. Again, the old people needed some machines to make their life more easy. So the old people use the windmills and the watermills to grind the grain and make flour. Again, the windmills and the watermills, the old people use them to grind the grain and make flour. So the water and the windmills, the old people use them to make what? To grind the grain, to make their life more easy. To make their life more easy from hundreds of years ago, the old people needed some machines to make their life more easy. So they are used windmills and watermills. Why? To grind the grain, to work like a mixer. The windmills and the watermills, all the people use them to grind the grain and make flour. So the windmills and the watermills from hundreds of years ago, they are used as a mixer. Okay, let's start with the windmills. As we can see in this picture, this is the windmills, and from its name it's called wind. So the windmills use the wind as a source of energy. Again, the windmills use the wind as a source of energy. When the wind starts to move, it will produce which type of energy? Kinetic energy. When the wind starts to move, it will produce kinetic energy. The kinetic energy of the wind make the blades of the windmills. What are the blades? This is called the plate. This is called the plate. This one is called the plate and another one called the blade. So the windmills have 4 plates. Have what? 4 plates. That, as we can see in this picture, the blades that can move. Okay, this is called the blades. The windmills have 4 plates. When the wind starts to move, it will produce kinetic energy. The kinetic energy make the blades start to move. So when the blades start to move, it will produce also which type of energy? Also kinetic energy. After that, the kinetic energy go inside or travel inside the windmills to make the other part of the windmills start to move. Again, when the wind start to move, it will produce which type of energy? Kinetic energy. The kinetic energy make the blades of the windmills also start to move. So when the blades, as we can see in this picture, start to move, it will produce kinetic energy. The kinetic energy after that go inside the windmills to make the other part of the windmills start to move. What is the other part inside the windmills? Inside the windmills, as we can see here in this picture, this is inside the windmills. Inside the windmills, there is 2 rocks move on the grain to make flour. So the 2 rocks work like a mixer, move on the grain to make flour. When the blades, the picture as we can see in picture number 1, when the blades start to move, it will produce kinetic energy. The kinetic energy makes the 2 rocks inside the windmills start to move on the grain to make flour. So again, the windmills use the wind as a source of energy. When the wind starts to move, it will produce kinetic energy. The kinetic energy makes the blades of the windmills start to move, as we can see here. When the blades start to move, it will make the 2 rocks inside the windmills also start to move on the grain to crush it or to grind it and make flour. So picture number 2 show inside the windmills. Inside the windmills, there is 2 rocks move on the grain to make flour. Okay, so the 2 rocks work like a mixer. Okay. And like the windmills, there is watermills. The watermills also like the windmills, and from its name, it use which source of energy? It use the water as a source of energy. When the water start to move, it will produce also kinetic energy. The kinetic energy of the water will make the blades of the watermills start to move. When the blades of the watermills start to move, it will produce kinetic energy. The kinetic energy goes inside the watermills to make the rocks move on the grain, to crush it or to grind it and make flour. So like the windmills, there is watermills. Both of them use the renewable resource of energy, water or wind, to make kinetic energy, make the blades move. When the blades move, it will make the rocks inside the windmills and the watermills start to move on the grain to make flour. So one more time. The watermills from its name, it's called watermills. The watermill use the water as a source of energy. When the water starts to move, it will produce kinetic energy. The kinetic energy make the blades of the watermills start to move. When the blades start to move, it will that kinetic energy which produce from moving the blades goes inside the watermills. Inside the watermills, there is two rocks. Move on the grain to make flour. So when the blades start to move, the kinetic energy which produce from moving the blades go inside the watermills to make the two rocks also start to move and make flour. Okay, the two rocks move on the grain to make flour. Okay, what are the advantages of the watermills and the windmills? Both of them low cost. What is the meaning of low cost? Don't need more money. The windmills and the watermills use the wind and the water, renewable resource of energy. The wind is renewable resource of energy, doesn't need more money or doesn't need money. Okay, and also the water is renewable resource of energy, so the water doesn't need more money. So the windmills and the watermills, both of them low cost, and both of them also use renewable resource of energy, like the water and the wind. And what are the disadvantages of the water and the windmills? The disadvantages of the windmills is sometimes the wind doesn't move. So when the wind doesn't move, it will make the windmill don't move. And when the windmill don't move, it will don't do their job. Okay, so the disadvantages of the windmills, sometimes the wind doesn't move. When the wind doesn't move, it will make the windmills don't move. And when the windmills don't move, it will don't do their job. Okay, and like the windmills, also the watermills, sometimes the water become dry. When the water become dry, the windmills don't move. And when the windmills don't move, the windmills don't do their job. Okay, as we can see here, this is the watermills and this is inside the watermills. After that, let's start to talk about the difference between the old windmills and the modern wind turbine. At the beginning of the session, I said that there is wind turbine. The wind turbine which I use it to generate electricity, and the windmills I use it to grind the grain and make flour. What is the difference between the old windmills and the modern wind turbine? At the first, both of them use the wind as a source of energy. The old windmills use the wind as a source of energy to make the blades move, and also the modern wind turbine use the wind as a source of energy to make the blades start to move. But the old windmills have opening on their blades, as we can see in this picture. The blades of the windmills have opening, as we can see here. Okay, but the modern wind turbine don't have this opening. Okay, and the old windmills have 4 blades, 1, 2, 3, 4. But as we can see in this picture, the modern wind turbine have 3 blades. So which one of them have more? Which one of them has more blades? The old windmills. The old windmills have more blades than the modern wind turbine. Okay, and the old windmills shorter than the modern wind turbine. And finally, we use the old windmills to make what? To grind the grain or to crush the grain and make flour. But we use the modern wind turbine to generate electricity. So one more time, both of them use the wind as a source of energy. But the old windmills have opening on their blades. Have more blades shorter than the modern wind turbine. And we use the old windmills to grind the grain or crush the grain. What about the modern wind turbine? The modern wind turbine also use the energy as a source of use the wind as a source of energy. Don't have opening, have 3 blades only, and taller than the old windmills. And we use the wind turbine to generate electricity. And also there is old watermills and modern water turbine. What is the difference between of them? Both of them use the water as a source of energy. The old watermills use the water as a source of energy to make the blades start to move. And also the modern water turbine use the water as a source of energy. But we use the old water wells to grind the grain, but we use the modern water turbine to generate electricity. So we use the old water mills to make what? To grind the grain. But we use the modern water turbine to generate electricity. After that, let's start to talk about the sun. Do you know what is the sun? Yes. The sun is the main source of energy on the earth. The sun is the main source of energy. What is the meaning of main source of energy? The sun gives all the earth's light and thermal energy. Give all the earth's energy. Give the plants, give animals, give human energy. So the sun is the main source of energy on the earth. The sun gives all the earth's energy. Okay, and we know that at the night, the sun become not visible, right? But we can feel warm at the night. Why? Why we can feel warm at the night? Because number one, the atmosphere. The atmosphere or the air around us in the morning absorb thermal energy from the sun. And when the night comes, the atmosphere produce or give us the thermal energy that it take it from the sun in the morning. So again, how can we feel warm at the night? Because number one, the atmosphere. The atmosphere absorb some thermal energy from the sun in the morning. And when the night comes, the atmosphere produce or give us the thermal energy that it take it from the sun in the morning. Number two, also the land and the water. The land and the water absorb some thermal energy from the sun in the morning, and at the night the land and the water produce the thermal energy from the sun. So the temperature become high at the night. Why? Because number one, the atmosphere produce the thermal energy that it take it from the sun in the morning. Number two, the land and the water absorb some thermal energy from the sun in the morning. So one more time, how can we feel warm at the night? Because number one, the atmosphere takes some thermal energy from the sun in the morning, and when the night comes, the atmosphere produce or give us the thermal energy from the sun. Number two, the land and the water. The land and the water also absorb some thermal energy from the sun, and at the night, the land and the water produce the thermal energy from the sun. After that, do you know what is the solar energy? Yes, the solar energy is the energy that coming from the sun. And the sun give us what? The sun give us light and thermal energy. So the solar energy is the energy that's coming from the sun, which is the light energy and thermal energy. So the light and the thermal energy that are coming from the sun are called solar energy. So the solar energy, it is the energy coming from the sun. The energy that's coming from the sun, which is the light and the heat energy, the light and the thermal energy. Again, the solar energy, the energy that's coming from the sun. And the sun gives us what? Light and thermal energy. But we must know that not all the light and not all the thermal energy reach to the earth's surface. The sun produces huge amount of the light and a huge amount of the heat. Not all the light and not all the heat reach to the earth's surface, but the light and the heat that reach to the earth's surface can reach to the earth's surface called radiation energy. The solar energy produces a type of energy called radiation energy, which is the light and the thermal energy that can reach to the earth's surface in the shape of sun rays. One more time, primary 4. We know that the sun produces huge amount of light, huge amount of heat. Not all the light and not all the heat can reach to the earth's surface. Some light and some heat can reach to the earth's surface. The light and the heat that can reach to the earth's surface are called radiation energy. So the solar energy, the light and the thermal energy that can reach, اللي هي solar energy that can reach to the earth's surface, called radiation energy. The light and the thermal energy that can reach to the earth's surface in the shape of sun rays called what? Radiation energy. So not all the solar energy can reach to the earth's surface, but the part of the solar energy that can reach to the earth's surface called radiation energy can reach to the earth's surface in the shape of sun rays. So the sun rays is radiation energy. So the solar energy, it is the energy that's coming from the sun, which is the light and thermal energy. Not all the light, not all the thermal energy can reach to the earth's surface, but some with the light and the thermal energy that can reach to the earth's surface called radiation energy. So the solar energy produce a type of energy can reach to the earth's surface, which is called radiation energy, can reach to the earth's surface in the shape of sun rays. So the solar energy is the light and thermal energy, and there is part of the solar energy can reach to the earth's surface in the shape of sun rays, which is called radiation energy. Okay, finally, let's start to talk about the uses of solar energy. We use the solar energy in what? Number 1, the solar energy consists of light and thermal energy. So we can use the solar energy as a source of thermal energy. If you expose yourself to the sun rays, you can feel warm. Why? Because the solar energy gives us thermal energy. So we can use number 1, the solar energy as a source of thermal energy to keep us warm. If you stand under the sun rays, you can feel warm because the solar energy gives us thermal energy. Number 2, in warming house. Do you know what is the warming house? As we can see in this picture, this is the warming house. The warming house has very large windows, and this house always faces the sun most of the day. Always faces the sun, as we can see here. Why? To allow the sun rays enter the house and make the people feel warm. The people use the warming house in the countries that have cold climate. Okay, the people use the warming house in the countries that have cold climate. So the people use the warming house. The warming house has large windows to allow the sun rays enter the house and help the people to feel warm. Number 2, the greenhouse. Do you know what is the greenhouse? The greenhouse, which the farmer use it to grow the crops that need a warm climate to grow. Again, the greenhouse is how the farmer use it to grow the plants that need warm climate, to plant the crops that need warm climate to grow. Okay, so the farmer used the greenhouse. Why? To grow, to plant the crops that need warm weather or warm climate to grow. Okay, what is the greenhouse? The greenhouse, as we can see in this picture, is a house made of transparent material. Do you remember that transparent material that allows the light pass through it? Right? Okay, so the greenhouse is a house made of transparent material to allow the solar energy, especially the radiation energy, to allow the radiation energy enter the house. When the radiation energy enters the house and collect inside it, the radiation energy after that will change into thermal energy to allow or to help the crops grow. One more time. The greenhouse is house the farmer use it to plant the crops that need warm climate. Okay, in some countries the weather is very hot. It's very cold. And there is some crops need warm climate or warm weather to grow. So the farmer used the greenhouse. What is the greenhouse? The greenhouse is house made of transparent material to allow the solar energy enter it, especially the radiation energy, to allow the radiation energy enter. When the radiation energy enter, as we can see here, when the sun rays or the radiation energy enter the house, that allow the crops, the radiation energy after that change into thermal energy that allow the crops to start to grow. Number 4, in cooking the food. How can we use the solar energy in cooking the food? As we can see here, we can use the solar energy in cooking the food by using convergent or concave mirror. Convergent or concave mirror is curved mirror. Curved mirror look like the dish. Do you know the dish which we put the food inside it? Okay, so the convergent or concave mirror is curved mirror. Curved mirror look like a dish which we put the food in it. Okay, the convergent or the concave mirror, as we can see here, collects the sun rays. After that, what happened? The mirror make what? Reflect the light. Excellent. So when the sun rays hit the concave mirror or the convergent mirror collects the sun rays. After that, reflect the sun rays to the metal pot. Okay, so the metal pot become very hot and they help in cooking the food. So we can use the solar energy in cooking the food by using convergent or concave mirror to collect the sun rays. After that, the mirror reflects the sun rays to the metal pot to make it very hot and to cook the food. Finally, we can use the solar energy in heating the water. Do you know the water heater which we use it in our house that can work by electricity, right? The water heater can work by electricity. We can use here the solar energy in heating the water. How can we use the solar energy in heating the water? By use this something, as we can see here. This something is called solar water heater. Solar water heater. The solar water heater made of what? Made of solar panels and tank. As we can see here, this tube is called tank and this is called solar panels. The solar panels contain black pipes or black tubes. Again, the solar water heater made of or contain solar panels and tank. This is tank and this is solar panels. The solar panels contain black pipes or black tubes, as we can see here. At the first, we will take the solar water heater and put it on the roof to help the solar panels take the solar energy from the sun and change it into thermal energy, not into electrical energy. Change it into thermal energy. The solar panels here in the solar water heater, it changes solar energy into thermal energy to make the tubes very hot. Okay, the solar water heater contain of tank and solar panels. The solar panels contain black pipes or black tubes. At the first, we will put the solar water heater on the roof. The solar panels take the solar energy from the sun and they change it into thermal energy to make the tubes very hot. The black tubes or the black pipes very hot. In the tank there is water which I want heated. There is water which I want heated. After that, the tank will open and the water will go through the tubes. The tubes are very, very, very hot. So when the water go through the tubes, the water become very, very, very hot. And after that, the water will go back to the tank one more time to be stored and to use later. Again. At the first, I will put the solar water heater on the roof to take the solar energy. The solar panels take the solar energy from the sun and change it into thermal energy. Okay. After that, what happened? The thermal energy makes the tubes very hot. In the tank, there is water which I want heated. The tank will open and the water will go through the tubes. So the water become very hot. Because the black tubes or the black pipes are very, very hot. So when the water go through them, the water become very hot. After that, the water will go back to the tank one more time to be stored and to be used later. Okay, so we can use the solar energy as a source of thermal energy in warming house, in greenhouse, and in cooking the food, and finally in heating the water. Finally, thanks for listening. With you is Miss Umayma Hani, and goodbye.